Tonight, 700 Marines are preparing to go to Los Angeles to respond to protests over immigration raids. They'll join thousands of National Guard troops that started arriving in Southern California yesterday, a development the state is now suing over. This is the fourth straight day of protests that began after a series of ICE raids around the city. At least 56 people have been arrested in these protests. The LA police chief warns there will be many more in the coming days. Thanks for joining us here at 10 o'clock. I'm Alexandra Lewis.
And I'm Mark Salinger. People in Colorado are rallying as well in solidarity with the protesters in Los Angeles. 9 News reporter Rachel Krause joins us live outside the ICE facility in Aurora. And Rachel, people there were there for hours calling for change.
Yeah, the protest here in front of the ICE facility in Aurora wrapped up around 8 o'clock, but people were out here for hours, walking, chanting, demanding that ICE take notice and calling for an end to deportations. From Parkland Park to the ICE facility here in Aurora, dozens of people walked in protest. They're hoping to send a message that they will not stand for the detention of people in the community by ICE and the deportations by the Trump administration that are tearing families apart. One woman being held in ICE detention is Jeanette Vizgara, a prominent immigrant rights activist. She's been there nearly 3 months now. Every week, a crowd gathers out here for Jeanette and others being held by ICE. This week, that protest was much bigger due to people wanting to take action against ICE and the Trump administration, especially in light of what's happening in Los Angeles. Jeanette's daughter and friends say they hope their action here sends a message to the people inside and to those keeping them there.
For me, it's very, very meaningful seeing the amount of support, seeing the amount of love and care that we receive from our community. Not only, for directly towards my mom, but towards the immigrant community as a whole. It's a community that at this time, as we can see, it's being demonized. There's a lot of negativity towards our people as well as a lot of violence. And to see, this kind of support, it's comforting. It's very helpful.
But it's important. Inside these windows, you can see a head, a silhouette right there, right behind you. They hear us. They know we're here, and that gives them hope.
Tonight's protests may be over, but activists will be back at it again tomorrow at the state capitol and again on Saturday. People here say they will not be silent. Reporting live in Aurora, Rachel Krause, 9 News.
Also in Aurora, new tonight, the city now has more authority to crack down on buildings that they deem to be neglected or derelict. Tonight, the city council there in Aurora unanimously approved an ordinance allowing the city to intervene when they argue a property poses a serious threat to health, safety, and someone's well-being. They can hire what's known as a receiver to take control and make repairs. That money would come from liens against the property. The city points to problems at the now closed Edge of Lowry apartment complex. That complex became a flashpoint for conservative media and President Trump, who used it as an example to inaccurately claim that a Venezuelan gang had taken over Aurora. It had been mismanaged for years. The city says they're seeing other buildings like it and property owners that don't bother to fix things.
People will they'll just pay fines. Just keep on paying fines, and just going through the process. With these new changes, this would give us a mechanism to go ahead and move forward and remedy the properties.
The ordinance allows the city to take action if there have been 3 or more violations within 2 years and 6 or more within the last 6 months. But the city says the authority will be used as a last resort.
Was a little hazy today. You can blame wildfire smoke from Canada. At least it made for a nice sunset. 9 News Chief Meteorologist Kathy Sabin is here with a quick check of your forecast. Hey, Kath.
Hi there. The particulates in the atmosphere did add some color to the sunset, and there's still a bit of haze to be found if you step outside in Denver. Northerly winds did transport some of that wildfire smoke from fires burning in Canada straight down along the Front Range today, but heavier smoke will shift east away from the area tomorrow. It's west we look for diminishing showers and storms that we've been tracking throughout the afternoon. While the weather's been quiet in Denver, we've had a couple of storms in the Fairplay area down to Trinidad, Walsenburg, Alamo. The severe threat now drifting south into New Mexico, where it is possible we'll see storms overnight with hail and some wind damage potential. The overnight temperature trend is really mild. When the sun comes up, the numbers are going to spike as winds increase out of the southwest. We'll continue to track storms to the south of Denver tonight. tonight. Talk about the midweek thunderstorm potential, but the big weather headline is the first 90-degree temperature of the season. It's in the extended outlook. We'll have the timing and impact of this latest weather change coming up.
Friends and family of a transgender woman found dead over the weekend are now calling for more protections for the trans community.
Your life matters, and Jax's life mattered. Thank you for helping me and helping so many others. Be braver. And that's what we all need to be, is we need to be braver because we fight things that others don't understand.
Jax Graten was last seen leaving her apartment in southwest Denver on April 15th. Her family says police found her body in an alley in Lakewood. She was 34 years old. Jax's friends gathered today at Denver City Hall to call attention to the treatment of the trans community. And this evening, friends and family gathered at the Highlands United Methodist Church to remember Jax.
Jax Graten is loved. Jax Graten is treasured. Jax Graten is with us, and we will fight for her.
United Methodist wasn't her church, but they provided a safe space for her community to gather. Jax's friends say she was a devout Catholic, and at her family's request, they prayed the rosary. There was also a more informal ceremony where people were given an opportunity to share memories of Jax. Her friend Kaylee says, while everyone who came out tonight may not have shared that faith, everyone there did love Jax.
I think that Jax is looking down and she is just proud of the community that she has brought together. Every walk of life has shown up for her, and it's very beautiful. Whether you knew Jax or not, you can see how clearly loved and cared for she is.
Jax was a strong activist for the trans rights community. Her friends tell us there will be more events in the future honoring her memory.
A former funeral director got the maximum sentence today after he kept a woman's decomposing body inside a hearse in his backyard for a year and a half.
Miles Harford pleaded guilty to abuse of a corpse and misdemeanor theft. 9 News reporter Steve Stager was in the courtroom as he received the maximum sentence.
People are ripped off at one of the hardest times in their lives.
In a court that's used to hearing the worst of the worst, this felt different.
Stealing an elderly person's peace of mind and her social security.
Miles Harford's was not a crime of violence, but it sure felt like it.
On the day of her funeral, his mother came by and gave us somebody else's ashes. For 18 months, he left her in that car in the heat of the summer and the cold of the winters, just thinking of her body just lying there.
The final years of Christina Rosales' life felt like tragedy enough. Alzheimer's disease stole her memories, took her away from her family far too early.
Despite going through so much already, was left discarded.
Had it not been for an eviction at Harford's home, her daughter would never have known her mother's death wasn't the end.
Whatever happened to basic human decency? I don't know why her remains had to be desecrated like this, or if I'll ever be able to look at an urn the same way again.
Had it not been for that eviction, several other families wouldn't know that they didn't have their loved one's ashes either. Others wouldn't know the money that they'd prepaid for funeral services was gone.
Shame on you, Mr. Hartford, for doing this absolutely heinous and revolting act.
The lies just piled up.
Why did he do it? His attorney blamed raging alcoholism and burnout. Lead prosecutor Jake Friedberg says the former funeral director seemed to only care about himself.
He does and says what he needs to solve the problem in front of him. I think he's a con man.
I broke their trust and I made a sad time even sadder for them. And for that, I would like to say that I'm truly sorry.
For 30 seconds, Miles Harford apologized to the people he hurt, then spent 8 minutes and 30 more seconds talking about himself.
I don't intend to return to the funeral industry, though I do intend to be a voice of positive and meaningful change for the funeral industry in both Colorado and across the United States.
The judge sentenced him to the maximum under his plea deal, 18 months in prison.
I didn't believe a word he said.
The same amount of time Kathy Vondren's sister spent in the trunk of that hearse.
I was just very happy to see him get handcuffed and taken out. I think I've been kind of waiting for that day for a long time.
This was one of 3 high-profile cases involving funeral directors in Colorado and misdeeds of funeral directors that led state lawmakers to pass a new law regulating funeral homes and requiring licensing of funeral directors. That bill, by the way, goes into effect next year. In Denver, Steve Stager, 9 News.
A judge is ordering Aurora police to release the full body camera video from officers involved in the death of Kylan Lewis. An officer shot and killed him last May while trying to arrest him on a warrant for a shooting in Denver. Lewis was unarmed. 9 News tried for months to get complete unedited body camera video from that shooting, but we've only received edited clips. A state law signed in 2020 requires the release of unedited video records when there's a complaint of an officer's misconduct. When we didn't receive that, we sued. The judge ordered the city to inform him next Monday if police have complied with this order. However, the city may very well appeal the ruling.
My Pillow guy Mike Lindell will return to the stand in federal court tomorrow in his defamation trial in Denver. Today, he cried during his first day on the stand as he talked about how his company collapsed after he started his election rigging claims. His attorneys argue it doesn't matter if it was the truth. It's good enough that Lindell believed that Denver-based Dominion Voting Systems and its former chief executive Eric Coomer flipped the 2020 election. Today, Lindell was asked whether his accusations are dangerous if he's wronged. He said, quote, "But I'm not wronged." He also testified that when he was warned his so-called experts and evidence were shoddy, he only became more convinced, thinking the pushback was part of a grand cover-up. The opposing attorneys asked Lindell to offer up any evidence he had that Dominion's Eric Coomer had participated in the greatest crime in history. Lindell didn't, only arguing that the proof was that Coomer had sued him.
Well, the city of Denver is celebrating a big drop in people experiencing homelessness, sleeping on Denver streets, and without shelter. An annual count that happens on a single night in January shows the total number of people living on the streets is down 45% from 2023, going from more than 1,400 to just under 800. Mayor Mike Johnston says about 7,000 people moved indoors between the city's family shelter system and the all-in Mile High sites. About 5,000 others transitioned to permanent housing. Federal funding paid for a lot of the hotels and the tiny homes. Moving forward, the city is preparing to be more self-sufficient. That's not so simple, especially for a city facing a $250 million budget deficit.
So we're doing right now the process of balancing the budget for all 27 of our agencies, and that's a complex puzzle. All of our departments will have to tighten the belt, but we're not going to undo the key programs we've invested in that have been so successful.
While fewer people are sleeping on Denver streets, the report found that the total number of people experiencing homelessness, including those currently in shelters, grew about 12%. That is less growth than the recent year-to-year increases.